All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Let's try to smooth out those rough roads. All right, so what you have now is a mess. You're trying to do this talking point thing, and Kash Patel he's your man, and his self respond. So you're casting Tulsi Gabbard. So you have a civil war going on. I believe somebody said, well, correct. How you doing? Great weather, isn't it? Because there's some non-public email addresses, I'm sure. Right. Well, again, you're not clear to have those email addresses, no matter what the president says. Again, we still don't know. Like, for all we know, there's some hole. Now, I told CIA and NSA to look at it to make sure there's no hole, where it's all coming. Russians are sitting there just sucking the information out of Elon's system. They're using some sort of artificial intelligence system. I guess it does cater to government. Right. I don't think people have any disrespect or disdain. You're going to lose that battle because you have a bunch of IT people that just resigned. Okay, whether you call them libtards or anything else, that's going to go into the court feed. So you standing there berating everybody and saying that they're unpatriotic. Like, who really believes Elon Musk is a patriotic American? I mean, who really believes that? I mean, the MAGA doesn't even believe it, but they'll play that game. I'm just telling you that you're getting yourselves in so deep that it's just going to end one day. By the nature of his instability. But the Constitution does not allow for somebody such as that to be in that position. Now, you can point your fingers to fraud, waste, and abuse. Fine. I pointed my finger to fraud, waste, and abuse while Elon Musk was signing that paperwork to make his daughter trans. Okay? So I'm not here to play a game. What would I do? My daughter would be on, or my son would be on male hormones. We'd be doing andro things. See if we can get going that way. Well, I believe some of the root cause is, again, we don't know who was raped when they were a child. I've actually been shocked by the number of sexual offenses that I see on very young children, where through life it would be subconscious, it wouldn't be conscious. Correct, my friend. So for Vivian, she may have been true. And again, her father did a lot of wacky stuff, which could do it. And again, by default, I did stuff to my gay daughter that, I didn't do. It's just her mother made it difficult. The deep state empowered it. And, she could end up gay very easily by, just not really liking men. Right. I realize that. Thank you, Larry. So again, I have to understand, even the gay community spoke about it. They don't speak about it now because it's not politically correct. But once upon a time, gay people would say, men would say they hate women because their mother. She was such a witch. Right. Thank you, Larry. And that's what they did to me. They would have women do crazy shit to me all day, trying to make me gay. I'm really neither gay nor heterosexual. I'm nothing. I don't have sex with people. Right. Do I have a preference? My preference was to be married, and then we'll work it out from there. And then, of course, a woman. And go to church. I mean, that was my preference. Church and marriage. You all said no. Baltimore. D.C. So on and so forth. 100% Larry. I'm a little panicked because my back started tied up again, but it's loose again. It may be the ablation. Again, if it's the ablation, that was the first procedure we were going to try. I couldn't get to it. Again, they're sitting there, stalking and willing. And they have to stop that, or have to be stopped. I tried to tell them the judges are government employees. The judges are government employees. President's actually a government employee if he had the right mind. Right. Elon's probably the only one that's not a government employee. Him and his crew. So again, that's communism, what Elon's using. Like the communism we fought. The proletariat, bourgeois, right? That's the techniques he's using. God bless you, Larry. Now, there's psychological methods, but nope, I'm telling you, get out of that mode because judges will shut it down one day. Including using informant funds to hire psychological operators. I agree, sir. Well, I think I sat in a chair and my back started opening up again. God, my head is like completely, like now I know where you've all been. Oh my God. Thank you, Larry. I'm hoping to heal somewhat. I don't know if the right side can heal now. Remember, I was worried about the left side yesterday. Now I'm worried about the right side. I don't know what's triggering it. It still feels like something around the neck needs to be worked out. Well, I'm just telling you, you have to stop all of you. Now, I'm sorry to see Mike Lee so enthralled in it all. Yeah, it's not a good battle to be in. Correct, sure. I mean, it's just so sad that 10 years ago I couldn't just sustain massage therapy. And again, I don't think Anybody from Silicon Valley is above that kind of hiring of spies to get themselves forward and to kill out another person for some sort of personal obsession. I'm kind of getting worried that maybe my hip joint is going to need to replace at this point. I mean, I don't know. But again, no tissue has had a chance to heal. Right. It's just not worth the battle. Now, if you don't think the judges are government, boy, everybody that works for it. Now, you're going to say that's corruption, but not necessarily. Not everybody's corrupt. People are being effectuated by that deep state, being limited by that deep state thing. Right. Well, if they step outside a certain line, then they don't receive their protection. That's the deep state. This idea, that it's a political party or any opposition to anything you're doing is bullshit, because that's what they do. The deep state says anybody that opposes them is the enemy. I mean, opposes anything they say. I mean, the ambiguity around that email is enough. No, people don't just do things like that. I mean, there's taxpayers yelling at Elon at this point. Now, he's saying the issue is the taxpayer. And anybody who defies him defies the taxpayer. These are arguments that are going to show up in court. Well, it just you're not scoring points fighting back again. There's already, what I understand, certain spies working an investigation as to who might be manipulating the process other than Elon. And quite possibly Elon is compromised into being manipulated. Because again, none of it makes sense to me. It just looks like the Russians are manipulating a bunch of people to go back and forth. The whole process sounds stupid. And as far as AI going to tell you who stays off of some 5 bullets, I mean, I'm a great. Again, I didn't lie to get hired. Right? I told them the truth about my background as far as everything that I described about my capabilities and everything. Right? I didn't dress anything up about what I did 5 days ago or anything like that. But I know how to do that. But I don't believe that everybody in government can write the way I used to write. I haven't written in years like that. How you doing?
I'm all right, man.
Sun's beautiful, isn't it?
Man, this is warm. I got to go put a T-shirt on.
God bless.
Crazy.
God bless.
All right, man.
Thank you, Lance. Maintenance worker. Thank you, Lance. I didn't even know what you were doing. I caught it the other day. They were and around on a way to help her. Is it working? Hello, 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 hello. Right. No, I had no intention of it being anything in government or even moving in that direction or even assisting. I was just going to live my life. Man, as a citizen, I was like telling people good things. You know, government's whole. It only has small pockets of corruption. Right. Well, I mean, it just looks like absolute chaos. I mean, Mike Lee needs to stay away from it because he just lost all credibility. Right. Yeah, you look like a bunch of communist hacks. I mean, really, it is communism. Who's Elon at this point? A state contractor. Communism. Believe me, Elon doesn't want people to have money that he doesn't want to have money. He's not somebody that believes in free enterprise. No, I don't. Does this make me somebody that's DEI? No. Right. I actually spent my time. That's pretty funny. One of the numbers on the truck. I spent my time investigating things like that. I still think the right side's too stiff. I believe it has to let go a little bit. I need to get that. Yeah, because I can feel it in my arm. Right. Thank you, sir. Again, once that all relaxes, then it's going to have to rebuild, and then it'll tell me where everything is. So again, you're all making a mess. Well, you're just not going to win the argument that we're this kingly democracy. We're a federal constitutional republic. And you're going to lose, all of you. You already see that the federal employees are starting to buck because they have a requirement. I told you about that requirement. Well, they're saying they put it's like again, it's bait. Don't buy into it. Well, the marshals work for the president more than they work for the judges. Not really. Right. In that aspect, they work for the judges. They work for the executive branch in the aspect of production in court. I guess it's work for both in the courts, I guess. Production for the judge and production for the government. Right. Fugitive, I guess still both. Because what they're doing is they're moving for that warrant, but the judge is, the judge wants that person in court. Right. Well, they're going to enforce the court orders. That's just how that works. No, the president cannot force a U.S. Marshal or a deputy marshal not to enforce the judge's orders, unless they're unlawful. And these are not unlawful orders. I know you're saying they're unlawful, but I believe that to be a mere talking point. Okay. Right, I needed my massages. You've all allowed them to do that to me. For all I know, they're techies. I don't know. Techies try to take over the world. I'm sure of that. As far as them being conservative or liberal, I don't think they really care about either. Bless you, sir. So again, be careful about what you all are believing is going on. Okay, Larry. Because it's not what you all think it is. This woman bowed when she passed by. I don't know if she knew she did that or not. Which means she agrees to it. It's her spirit. So yeah, I think everything this doctor has spoken about, the possible procedures, are probably the direction I'm going to go. First, it's going to be this epidural today. which I'm going to have to get moving on soon. And then trigger point, and then ablation, or possibly ablation for test first. Thank you there. If my back doesn't stop cramping. Now, this is what's supposed to have happened last time. And I'm sure I looked at Kansas before I went to Oklahoma. And before I went to Texas, maybe. I don't know. Definitely before I went to Oklahoma. Now, it would have been Missouri. But I probably would have been at massage. And well, I take that back. I'm not sure what my plans were because Kansas just doesn't have an inspection. And that's what I prefer. But again, Kansas, I think, has more property tax, which I have to check that out, but which would mean it's like an inspection. Cost you $200, you know. Actually, about 100. Like to register in Oklahoma, I think it's like $20 a year or something. Actually, more than that, probably 40 or something. Here, it's a lot more money. It's like 2 something. Well, you can't fire federal employees because they question something. It's built like that. Again, these aren't employees that question it when the rubber meets the road and there's something to be done. Right. Well, they're the bottom line is it violates the government itself and the process of government. It's unlawful. Well, if you didn't say they were going to be fired, they made a Senate. Right. Well, because if they play that game and you fire them, they just empowered you to fire them. Thank you, Larry. See, that's what I'm trying to teach. Elon's going to learn CYA pretty soon. See, that's what they're doing. Like I told Elon, and I said, you don't want, what's that guy's name? Gates. You don't want Gates in there because he doesn't know CYA or know how to do that. Yeah, I still probably need trigger point. I mean, it's relaxing, but it still seems pretty stiff. Yeah, to me, it seems like it's the oblation thing. Because here I'm walking on hard ground, releasing. And then when I walk on unstable carpet, that's released again. I don't know. We'll see. Again, there's the tissues down, which that first epidural. Now, I was surprised that they would try a second epidural within a couple of weeks if the first one failed. I never heard of that one before, but I read that one. So, as far as what happened to me goes, right, there's a lot of stretching that has to be done. Right, they alluded to that in a couple of places, a couple of the massage places I went to. No, those massage therapists were doing me right, but they did me wrong in the end. Right. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They were stretching, when I was in Naples and all that. I mean, not Naples, when I was in Santa Fe. Naples, I did start it, but my body wouldn't relax. Kind of like where I am now. I could have a certain allergen part to it, but there's ways to. I think it's like the body has memory. Right? So because you say cramped up for a long time, it returns to that. But here's an example of what's happening. My back is now tight, but my legs aren't stretched and cramped. Like it firmed up. So again, over time, I hope returns to something normal. I can't believe I've been like this for over 4 years. Or about 4 years, 4.5 years. There's no doubt the cops were harassing me. There's no doubt that there were PIs harassing me. There isn't a while. Because that's the why. I just be living. If y'all never did this, I'd still be in government, number one. Number two, if y'all didn't do this, I'd be living a different life. Not one day did I plan to say anything political or about government other than it's doing fine. There's just some pockets of corruption. Right. I just found a cavity. So let me see, what time is my appointment? Well, on top of it, they're airing the government laundry on X. Well, in the Constitution, it says to provide for a strong, look out for the general welfare. In fact, Elon needs to be impeached, but they can't because he doesn't have a position. There's a lot of questions that are going to come up. So, as I've implored you before, the reverse course, I say once again, reverse course. So, if my right side relaxes, the legs should simmer down, but I don't know. Now, any state in the union that I've been in, I could have started this treatment if they had not blocked me. Now, like 4 years ago, I could have been doing all this treatment and gotten weller, and probably to a point weller than I had been in a couple years or a few years. Now, I'm sure I'd still be in Santa Fe. We've been no, I mean, I may have moved to Albuquerque. Right. And I actually was trying to do that when I ended up coming this direction. Now, there's something still on the right side holding. Right. A little bit in the left, but not too bad. So something's on Irritec. I don't want to go for massage until I get a epidural. And, I've been trying to get an epidural for, actually for a month and a half or 2 months. I couldn't get to it. For actually a month and a half. Yeah, and all the walking I'm doing could be irritating it. But hopefully the steroid will do something this time. Now I can feel that there's something up here. Hopefully it's not like a disc issue. I still think it's just all of this tissue up here needing to be relaxed. Right. Yeah, and once my back starts crunching, then my legs and my other areas get irritated. Right, and there's been no steroid yet, so which is pretty good after I'm doing pretty good for being crunched up for 4 years. Yeah. Just not sure what to do with myself because I don't want to sit around crunched up. If I sit in a chair and I crunch up, then I got to get out of the chair. If I lay down on my bed and I crunch up. So it sounds like ablation, and that's where I was trying to go. I got to that stupid chiropractor. I wish I didn't get to the chiropractor and I would have got to. We went to the guy that was going to try the ablation. Now, to me, he appeared like a possible pill mill guy too. So I was a little leery of that, but his based upon his ads and just his location, it just seems like possibly it was that. But I'll tell you what, his nurse practitioner sounded like he knew what he was talking about. He just, I just should have went in for another appointment and and talked to him again. Right. Actually, I should have did a telehealth. If I could have did a telehealth with him, I probably would have went through with it. They made all the difference in the world. I just, I couldn't get anywhere. I mean, I was walking to Walmart with a backpack and loading up. I didn't walk. Most of my stuff was in the cart, but I take it like within 50 foot of my home, put the backpack on, no pain, no issue. Right. Walk to my apartment or my room. I mean, this was crazy. Right. That's why I was so surprised when it happened. So sorry. Again, if I were in Santa Fe or Albuquerque, where I would have stayed, had you not interfered with my massage on several occasions. Again, it wasn't just one time. It wasn't just one time. If I remember correctly, the woman that owned the other massage place was the woman that owned the tanning place. And the woman at the tanning place said, he tried to hit on me. And in reality, I think if I'd have just kept going, they'd have just been so discredited that somebody would eventually tell them to stop because it's ruining what they're trying to, the corrupt thing they're trying to build, which is the deep state. Which is the deep state. That right side just don't want to cooperate. Keeps tightening and loosening. But again, I'm doing better than I have been. Hopefully it stays. So next is the steroid epidural. Where I should have been at least 3.5 years ago with my next epidural. Right. So sorry. Hadn't it blocked all my lifestyle, I wouldn't have had the arthritis. Right. So again, you see, just some of it can't be healed. Right. Make it bearable, but they knew. I mean, they kill people with it. They do it every day. Probably push people to commit all sorts of acts of violence and sexuality on it. Again, I ain't got time for Elon because you're not real. It's a joke. In fact, I'm sure whatever's manipulating him manipulated the people to spend that money frivolously. Right. And playing all of us. Wait a minute, I thought that was 2 to... Look at this. Let me get over here. Saying 1 o'clock, but I don't think. Yeah, too. No scan insurance. I gotta find my insurance cards. I'm gonna put it into the system, but now I put my insurance card somewhere. Yeah, I'm actually doing well for somebody that hasn't had any steroids and hasn't had a massage in a while. But I don't know. You know, there's a ceiling on everything when this happens. And, right. What we got here? Yeah, I mean, from the other times that this happened, again, this is a big happened, right? But I remember it takes a period of time to heal. Right. Again, had they been forced to stay away from me, I wouldn't be in this condition at all. If you really know how it initiates it, they just have their connections in those places, those fake deep state places. Pam Bondi said that if she, inside, she said if she didn't have her place and her protection, that the doctors would have probably tried to destroy her. Right. And maybe would have. But again, it's uncalled for what the Justice Department did and what it allowed, what it probably contracted. Thank you, Larry. All right, well, I can't find my insurance cards. This is not good, but not horrible. I have to reprint some. I know I ordered some Blue Cross Blue Shield card, and I know I have another. Get in my safe. My other card.